Do you want me to start right now? Is it okay to start now, Beth? Okay, I guess so. Well, welcome, colleagues. It's so nice to see you here. Thank you for coming to my paper. I wrote about my students working on the OpenSim, and here is the name of their play, The Ludicrous Lizard of ARS, art. And these are secondary students designing parody masks and an installation, again, on the OpenSim. After working with these students on the OpenSim virtual world for 4 years, I invited 8 of them to revise my parody play, The Lizards of ARS, a satiric reinterpretation of Baum's The Wizard of Oz. Using participatory action research, I gathered their two-dimensional mass images, converted it into 3D forms, and related parody comments. 2 older students arranged them in 2 different installations on the OpenSim. This communal experience helped develop creativity in imaginative play, mask making, environmental design, and diverse meanings. Oh, did I skip? Okay. Discussing different meanings of art with students can be very difficult. The problem for me originated with my reflections on the ways of teaching aesthetics and helping students determine what is a work of art. I transformed these reflections into a parody play called The Lizards of ARS. Again, which is a playful reinterpretation of The Wizard of Oz, and the kids love it. This was a model play. A parody is a humorous mocking of something, using similar forms as in a poem or a play. Well, I had to put this picture in. This is me teaching in real life, dressed as the Lizard of ARS. I got that costume from China, would you believe? What? Oh, okay. I didn't see it. Okay. Are you seeing it now? Oh, gosh. Oh, okay. Got it. Better? No, still behind. I think you can see. Oh, there it is. Me presenting the parody play. Okay. Well, I reviewed the different meanings of art with the kids, and here's some of them. There's so many, I can't give them too many choices, or they'll never be able to remember. But they sure enjoyed reading the simple script. In fact, when I went into the school, the other classmates said, "How come you didn't come visit us?" Participatory action research is my method. It's a spiral method of continuous problem solving and improvement. And the purpose involves planning, acting, observing, reflecting, and replanning, even in the social sphere. And it involves 3 simple stages: data collection, as you can see, post and pre-questionnaires with students, taking notes every day. Then later analyzing the notes, which involves coding and charting, and then finally comparing my results with similar research. The context or the chosen school participants was local. My site on the OpenSim is sponsored by the University of British Columbia. And this local school is called the Sonoran Desert School. The professor who sponsored me is Dr. Sandrine Hahn, and she is presenting here at the conference as well. It's situated in Gold Canyon, Arizona, part of the Apache Junction School District, which is 40 miles east of Phoenix. It's a small school with free tuition, and it's all computerized. The classes are from 5th grade through high school, with an enrollment of 75 students. The workshop ran after school for 2 hours per day, as you can see, from 1:30 to 3:30 for 4 days during the last week of school. 8 students volunteered, 5 were males, and 3 were females. 4 younger students and 4 high school students participated. And the principal, the only teacher, set up the computers and the permission protocol in advance. Okay, here are some of the lessons that we set up for the students. First, they had to draw a 5 by 7 inch mask and color it. There's an example following. Then they have to outline it with a darker marker so it can show up on the OpenSim. They convert their mask into a digital form using Photoshop, transparency, or other digital tools called GIMP. For cutting out the mask and saving it as a ping image. Then they all upload it to the OpenSim, and it becomes a texture under color. Then they enter the OpenSim, they choose an avatar, they choose a cube form, condensed into a box by using the 3D build tool, which we'll be seeing soon. Under General, they put in a creature title, that's under the build tool, their name under Creator, and they give me, the instructor, permission to share, modify, and move it. They mount their masks on their avatar faces. They learn new camera angles and take individual and group screenshots on their computer desktops. The instructor collects all these screenshots and students' written parody from their computer desktops. Later, she inserts them in the installation masks under the Build General feature with a giver script to make pop-ups. Later, the students fill out post questionnaires. They discuss problems and give solutions. Then they click on their installation creatures to check the no card pop-ups. And again, they can mount the mask on their face. Here's some of the findings. As a group, students read the model play. They choose their animal parts. They drew their creatures, and they wrote 3-line scripts. Due to their lack of time, I converted their image into Photoshop transparencies. I cut out their masks in Photoshop and save them as ping. I had to do it because after school, the end of school is really tough. Here's an example of a young girl drawing and coloring with crayon her giggling gecko, she called it, and writing her script. Oh no. The next day on the OpenSim, students found their build tool on the top menu. They opened it and chose a box form on the bottom. They found their masks as textures, and they discovered that they wrapped around the cube form on all 6 sides. I told them to make the thickness smaller, thinner. A form looks like an image on an easel now. It's kind of thinner. See the figure? Now students could drag their masks out of their inventories and move them around and even wear them, which was a lot of fun for the students. Now, arranging the installation was difficult. Mounting and repositioning the masks required much patience. Students needed to use 2 hands on the keys, and this is one of the problems I always have with them. They only use 1 hand. They have to press the shift key to choose the form and another to move it around. 2 older students met with me to rearrange the installation, and 1 student helped cut the masks and upload them to the OpenSim. This is where the students are presenting their script, their own imaginative play. I'm reading what they said. Ludicrous the Lizard welcomes fellow classmates. I am everywhere, but to the eyes of ordinary people I am unnoticed. And that's from the author of The Wizard of Oz. Please regenerate my tail that Kitschy tore off before I turn into rock, so nobody can see me. Okay. Susie Coyote must be the next one. But here's Silly Snake. This is a young kid. He's only about 12 years old. He's Silly Snake sizzles. I can hide underneath Ludicrous and zap its energy. They're pretty creative with the language. Here's Susie Coyote. She cries out, "Not that kind of taste. You are dumber than I thought. You can't eat those berries because you will die."
Mary, we can't hear you if you're talking.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Gosh, I don't know what happened. Okay, sorry. So brainless buzzers around. I'm still looking for a brain oozing with artsy facts. And that mask really doesn't fit him that well, as you can see. But anyway, it kind of works. Benji the Devil came in. He's one of the popular characters that the students always seem to drop in and never asked to. But the principal said, just keep it, no problem. Well, the post questionnaire, I always ask the students what they learned about art. You know, when I gave them the pre-questionnaire at the beginning, they didn't even know half of the things I was talking about. They couldn't even tell me what desert they're from. But the desert is the name of the school. This is how they forget. But they did learn a lot from the experience. And the dominant answer of ours was, again, art meaning art in Latin. And what did they learn about drawing? To make the faces big and colorful, and to color them darker so they could show up. And how is a lizard like art? Of course, they had a big problem with this, but they had fun because they learned about regrowing their tail, writing it over and over again. And when they work on the OpenSim, it's like a game, but like no other. They could do so much more by building different forms. And they learn to make a mask, rotate it. They had plenty of problems, but they really worked it out. And they remembered what parody is, which is wonderful. Funny words, give your own spin on it. That's quite clever. This next part is really kind of interesting. Educators need to constantly revise their lesson plan, their standards, and their models. And the students really need models. Educators need to offer ways to rewrite the parody, such as alliteration, and portray the visual cue form, creative directions. They need to share problems like using two hands over and over again. And they were really surprised about that dust devil because there was one right outside the school in real life. Educators need to make sure evaluation standards or review always include pre and post questionnaires and a list of changing art definitions. And don't forget the different interviews. A postscript to the play. The students added this later. Kitschy Crow finally screamed out, "So you really believe that you can find ours? Ha! You shall never discover it, even if I strike you down and make you my plastic mount." Kitschy flew overhead, lifted Ludicrous the lizard, tore off his tail, and said, "Now you must write your own tale." Parody. Now, the students learned quite a few things, and when we compared with other famous studies, the students constantly used the idea of good taste and this time symbols. They learned to transform the various physical forms of art as they leaped into the digital virtual worlds. You can see the different authors were comparing results with. They also learned about art as transformation, and Peter London was my teacher when I was a master's student at Mass College of Art. In this case, the ability to change an artwork from the material world and upload it digitally to the virtual world. Transformation also involved the ability to wear parts of one's own digital creation as a mask, even though it wasn't perfect. It doesn't want to move. So the students learn a great deal about how to transform themselves as well as meaning. And I think it was really interesting at the end when they came up with that postscript, because that was quite clever. Now these students now are in high school at my local community college, and I certainly enjoy working with them and learning constantly. So that's my presentation. Would you like to ask some questions? Thank you, everybody. It's pretty. I think we need to rehearse. It really takes a lot to do some of this. And Ice Guy was so patient and so good, helping me set this up. It was so difficult. I want to thank Zinnia and Beth for always helping me. I hope in the future that I can give back. And Lear, you were very helpful and patient with us. No, the students forgot about the desert. The name of their school is called Sonoran Desert School. They call their desert Arizona. Yeah. Wow, this is only a half hour. Wow, thank you. do run out of time when we do some of these studies, and you have to problem solve right on the spot with the students. Rosa, you're right. Photoshop gets to be expensive, but this was sort of like a private school. We even use GIMP, G-I-M-P, which is free on the internet. But the last week of school, the students are graduating, and it's pretty tough to get anything done. But that's when they want you to come in. The students range from 5th grade to high school. In fact, I spoke at the graduation last year. It's a contract school. Now here's something that's going to blow my mind. The school is no longer there. It closed due to lack of students. So now I'm working with the Boys and Girls Club this summer. If you want me to send you the lesson plans, other stuff, just email me and I will. Yes, Blue Barker. There's a lot of science here, a lot of ecology in these studies. This is my 4th study with them. Well, the parents, they were pretty supportive. When I spoke at the graduation, they were very happy to hear about how tough it is to be a professor. Oh, that's good, Ice Guy. School was very different back then. Now, they don't teach very much history. A lot of it is the basic core subjects, and that kind of takes over everything. And you don't get that enriched extra information. And Zinnia, she comes to my national conference with me sometimes. And I think that's great because we both learn a lot together. Yes, we do. Thank you so much. And I'm glad to be part of the non-profit commons with everybody. And I hope that next year I can continue to do work with you. Oh, absolutely. When they do those builds with the tools, they're so surprised to see the coordinates and how they make things bigger. My students even build houses now. This time we didn't do a video. I've done this play project 3 different times with my older students. Those studies have been published in the International Journal of Education. So this is the first time with students, young students. I bring my students to the nonprofit commons, and they eventually become teachers. I show my professor friends some of the work we do. So I hope that they will do more. Sometimes they don't think Second Life, they don't take it seriously, but I wish they would. Yes, Blue Barker, the younger kids are pretty amazing. They really become my co-learners. Yes. Thank you for helping me. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. If any of you want to be co-researchers one of these days, in some of your studies, I can come document you, like I do Zinnia. Several times my students have interviewed her, and that's what they do now for their final project. This is my university students, and we learn a lot when we interview each other. Oh, Japanese, huh? That's tough. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. Thank you, Beth. I hope I can see that video later. I'm taking screenshots of everybody, too. Now I'm copying all the script. The university likes lots of documentation.
Mary, did you see my question that I asked you? Why did you use the Oz stories in the first place?
Hold on. That's a really good question. The Wizard of Oz is classical. And when I found that expression he said about I am everywhere, but to the eyes of ordinary people I am unnoticed, that really hit me about the nature of art. No, it's our job, my job especially, to get people to look for hidden treasures you just don't see. And through questioning, that's what I can do. But the wizard, like the lizard, is very similar because they're leaders. They're not perfect. They help people become, right? Just like the creatures, the characters. And I think it's so clever. It's such an award-winning book, the original Wizard of Oz. And I think we need to think of ourselves as wizards as well. What do you think, Zinnia? Are you a wizard?
Am I a lizard or a leader?
I think you're both, right?
Yeah. And after getting to know you, I had then found out that the Wizard of Oz stories are in the public domain, which I think then is really helpful on an educational level as well.
No, right now the play Wicked is playing here. And, I'm president of my women's caucus, and that's another challenge. But that really gets you to start thinking about who's wicked and who's not. Is wicked necessarily bad? I think we need to constantly start questioning and reinventing these things. So if anybody has a parody they would like to try next year, please let me know, because I'll work with you. What a good question. I am looking for another parody. If you know any of the parody books that the kids like, let me know. Gee, I think we're almost over. Thank you. Somebody else going to be next? Thank you for coming, everybody. Olive Tree White House. So clever. I like your costume.